What's going on, world? Coming at you guys again. We got another quick video. Criminal justice reform. Let's talk about it. So, the other day I was on TikTok and I saw a news clip from Fox News about how after 25 years, a man was apprehended, extradited, and prosecuted for the murder of an American citizen after being on the run for 25 years. When you do the math, I guess the guy was maybe 18 or 19 or something. Right now he's about 44 or something like that. Now this was promoted as a win, as a success, and congratulations for the investigators, the detectives, etc., etc. I personally feel as though that this is a miscarriage of justice and a misappropriation of taxpayer funds. And I really want to break this down for you right now. In America, we have what it seems to be unlimited resources, especially when it comes to finances, because the Fed has the capacity to just print out money like it's no tomorrow. Unfortunately, taxpayers consistently see inflation everywhere they go during their cost of living expenses. So it makes me want to take action to represent all American citizens to ensure that we are getting what we deserve. When we look at the criminal justice system, when we talk about incarcerating American citizens whom have gone out of their way to commit acts without rhyme or reason, and they have a history of committing these acts repetitiously, without any form of empathy or sympathy or acknowledgement of their actions being wrong, it makes you really recognize and understand that these individuals, are most likely unable to foster and assimilate into a stratified society like America is in a successful manner to make sure that it is peaceful as well as equitable for all people. So when we talk about individuals like this individual, he hasn't lived in America in 25 years. So he's not a threat to America nor the community in which allegedly he possibly harmed, because to my understanding it was just one person that unfortunately was unalived. But that means the community is safe from this individual. The country is safe from this individual. This individual is not receiving any benefits, financially or otherwise, from America. Yet, we as Americans decided to not only investigate, but pursue and extradite this individual, prosecute this individual, and then subsequently we're likely going to prosecute this individual and again house this individual for food and board, which is about $70,000 a year. So when you talk about that, you talk about murder as at least 5 to life. You're talking about $70,000 a year for a minimum of 5 years, up to 10 years. That's $350,000 to $700,000 to well over $1 million of taxpayer money being spent on an individual who allegedly committed a crime against another American citizen, which is terrible. I'm not arguing that, right? But what's done in the past is the past. And again, the guy hasn't lived here in 25 years. So how is it beneficial to the American taxpayer who has to pay for these financial requirements to investigate, prosecute, and incarcerate and house this individual who's not even an American citizen? How is it fair to the American taxpayer to have to shell out over $1 million for a guy whom has no contributions to the country. It's not fair to the American citizens at all. And, the reality of the situation is, I'm not trying to give the guy a pass, but I do want to make sure that we are maintaining and utilizing the funds that taxpayers are using and paying into for taxpayers. I've said this before. The prefrontal cortex does not develop until the age of 25 up to 35 years of age. So all the actions that happen before 35 years of age needs to be addressed in the manner of an individual who is mentally incompetent. That's just, unfortunately, that's the way we were designed, especially if you're a white male. It's just the unfortunate truth, because as men, we have testosterone and we have the capacity to want to engage in reckless actions because our prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed. So we don't have that. What the prefrontal cortex is known for is called the emotional brake to regulate our actions. We have more desire than safeguard and safety and consideration. So when we talk about American citizens who find themselves in the position to where they violated the law, what we need to do, and this is what I plan to do as president, is individuals who find themselves in this position and they have the capacity to work. Your state, local, or federal government will have contracts with local farmers, local facilities that produce products that are used on a daily basis for all American citizens, your cost of living expenses. These individuals, utilizing the Department of the Corps of Army Engineers, will facilitate housing within these regional areas for these cost of living expensive assets and amenities for individuals, and these individuals will work there free. They will make no money, and they will do that for the duration of their sentence. And this will be their recontribution to society. It's not you get incarcerated and you sit in jail or prison and you play cards, you sit in your cell all day, you hang out with other individuals, and you wait for your time to come up. No. No. And the reality of the situation is, when you're done doing your 8-hour shift doing that, then you're going to get put directly into a skilled trade program. So when you get out, after you're done with your sentence, your rehabilitation will allow you the opportunity to be an entrepreneur, because we all know that when you are convicted of a crime, it is a very difficult task to try to go get employed by another individual. So this will promote the opportunity for you to go out with a skilled trade to facilitate some form of income, to facilitate some form of assimilation back into society, to make sure that you're on a straight and narrow and you don't fall into the victim categorization of recidivism. Now, outside of that, because we are not just housing individuals with nothing to do, and because we're doing this in a joint partnership with, the items in which we use every day on a daily basis as American citizens, this will help cut down the costs at the grocery store. This will help cut down the costs for American citizens. We won't have to rely on illegal immigration. This is something that needs to happen. And the money that's left over, in which we would normally utilize to institute payments for housing and incarcerating an individual, we're going to set up an American Victim Fund and Act, to where instead of paying $70,000 a year to house an incarcerated individual that can't be reformed, that individual will be deported or exiled back to their ancestral homeland. If they don't want to go back to the ancestral homeland, or their ancestral homeland does not accept them, unfortunately, if their act is so heinous and it is clear that they can't be rehabilitated through psychology, psychiatry, MRI of the brain, and through repeated history of heinous actions, then they'll be cast out and dropped off into the middle of Sahara. You know, that's the unfortunate reality. But when we talk about utilizing and safeguarding resources, this is the best plan of action. And instead of spending $70,000 a year on American citizens whom can't be rehabilitated, whom shown a pattern that they can't and don't want to be rehabilitated, instead of spending that $70,000 to incarcerate and house an American citizen who consistently breaks the law, that $70,000 a year will be matched and placed into the American Victims Fund. And the victim, or the family of the victim, or the community of the victim will receive that $70,000 entitlement for the duration of what the sentence was supposed to have been for that citizen whom violated the law. It's too much time to where we have looked at specifically how we are spending, again, $70,000 a year to house an incarcerated individual for a criminal action, and they're going to continuously make the same mistakes over and over and over, and we're going to spend more and more money, more and more money, more and more money, and it's not benefiting the victims. It's not benefiting Americans. It's not benefiting the taxpayers. It's not benefiting the communities. I'll give you an example. If you had a vehicle and you spent if you had a vehicle and the vehicle broke down, it didn't work appropriately, so you shelved it, and you shelved it at $70,000 a year for 10 years. You spend $700,000 on trying to maintain it and store it. Not improve it, right? But just to maintain it and store it. While you know it is highly unlikely that it is going to fail again. And then after the 10-year span of $700,000 invested into a vehicle that you have not really improved upon, but you've done the bare minimum to maintain, you put it back out on the road, and boom, it breaks down again. You spend another $700,000 on it. $70,000, 10 years, or however many years. This is not a business plan that is successful nor contributable to a successful society. And this is what we are doing in America. When we talk about recidivism, when we talk about American citizens who continuously fall victim to crimes, well, we have to look at the root cause. Do they have the resources? Were they getting the rehabilitation in which they needed while incarcerated? These are the things that must change. And through me, as president, 2028, I will make that change. I will make sure that no American citizen is left behind. Vote Kelly 2028, God and country.